My name is Vicky. It's been a while since that fateful night, but the memory still stings. I'm sitting in my cozy living room, looking at the damaged sweater that's now folded neatly in the back of my closet. It's a reminder of a lesson learned, a line crossed, and the importance of standing up for what truly matters. It all started on a seemingly ordinary evening. I was in a relationship with Ethan, a man I'd been with for about a year and a half. We were sitting at my kitchen table, our dinner getting cold as he scrolled through his phone. The silence between us was familiar, the kind you mistake for comfort. But little did I know, this night would change everything. Earlier that afternoon, a box had arrived. I recognized my mother's handwriting on the label right away. My mom, 70 years old, has been suffering from arthritis in her hands for ages. It's especially bad in the winter, and some days she can barely hold a fork. But still, every year without fail, she knits. Scarves, hats, mittens, things that might not be the most fashionable, but they carry so much love and effort. Back in November, she called me. "I'm making you something special this year," she said, her voice full of excitement. "It's taking a bit longer than usual, but I think you'll love it." I told her she didn't have to go through the trouble, reminding her of her hands. She just laughed and said, "You're my daughter. Let me do this for you." 10 days before Christmas, I finally opened the box. Even before I saw what was inside, I could feel the emotion welling up in my chest. The sweater was... well, it wasn't what you'd call a fashion statement. It was a mix of green and red, with a slightly crooked reindeer stitched across the front and "Merry Christmas" written in uneven letters on the back. By modern standards, it was ugly, but to me, it was perfect. I smiled and put it on right away. "What do you think?" I asked Ethan, turning to show him. He looked up from his phone, and his expression changed instantly. "You're not seriously going to wear that, are you?" he said. I laughed, thinking he was joking. "Of course I am. My mom made it," I replied. He looked at it again, more slowly this time, as if assessing the damage. "It's embarrassing, Vicky," he said. The word hit me harder than I expected. "Embarrassing?" I repeated. "It's handmade. She spent months on it." He just shrugged and said, "She probably shouldn't have. It looks so homemade." My chest tightened. "She has arthritis, Ethan. It hurts her to knit," I said quietly. He scoffed. "Well, it shows. I'm not going to your family Christmas if you're wearing that." My family Christmas was just 3 days away. "I'm wearing it because my mom made it," I said firmly. That's when he stood up, walked over to me, and before I could react, he yanked the sweater over my head and started pulling at the seams. "What are you doing?" I whispered, shocked. "Saving you from yourself," he replied. The yarn tore easily, too easily. In less than a minute, the sweater was in pieces on the floor. He dropped it and looked at me, satisfied. "There, now you can't wear it." I stared at the pile of yarn at my feet. "My mother's hands made that," I said calmly. "Get out." He laughed. "You're being dramatic." "No, you're being cruel," I said, kneeling down to gather the pieces. "Get out of my apartment." He left, and I sat on the floor, holding the pieces of the sweater in my lap. I realized then that this wasn't about taste. It was about respect. Once that line is crossed, there's no going back. That night, I didn't sleep much. It wasn't because I missed Ethan, but because my apartment felt haunted by the green and red yarn and the sound of his voice calling me dramatic. I woke up early and sat at the kitchen table, looking at the bag full of yarn on the floor. I tried to see if I could fix it, but it was hopeless. The yarn was torn clean through in places, and the seams were ripped apart. Even if I knew how to knit, it wouldn't have mattered. It was ruined. I called my mom that morning. I didn't tell her what happened. I just told her the sweater had arrived, that I loved it, and that I'd worn it right away. She sounded so happy that it almost made me sick. After I hung up, I sat there for a long time, wondering when love had started to mean lying to protect someone else's feelings. That afternoon, I opened my closet. Inside were the Christmas gifts I'd bought for Ethan's family. His parents, his sister, and his niece and nephew. He'd been very clear about his expectations. My family goes all out for Christmas, he'd said more than once. First impressions matter. So, I'd spent money I didn't really have. Over $1,000 in total, a designer scarf for his mom, a high-end wine set for his dad, kitchen gadgets for his sister, and toys for the kids. I stared at the gifts for a while, then loaded them into my car and drove back to every store I'd bought them from. The cashier at the last store asked if everything was okay. Yes, I said, and for the first time since the night before, it felt true. Ethan texted me that evening. "Can we talk?" I overreacted. "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. He called, but I let it ring. At 9 p.m. He showed up at my door. I opened it, but I didn't step aside. "I'm really sorry," he said right away. "I shouldn't have destroyed the sweater." "No, you shouldn't have," I said. "Image matters to you, I know. But my mom matters to me." He offered to apologize to her, but I told him she didn't know what he'd done. Then he said he wanted to make it up to me, to come to Christmas and be nice. "I don't want you there," I said. His face hardened. "So, that's it? We're done over a sweater?" "We're done over who you are when you don't get your way," I replied. He scoffed. "You're choosing a piece of clothing over me." "I'm choosing my values over your cruelty," I said, and I closed the door. He knocked for a while, then left. The next day, the texts started again. "What am I supposed to tell my family? They already bought you gifts. You're being childish." I replied, "I returned everything." There was a long pause, then he texted, "You can't be serious." "I am," I wrote. "You destroyed something my mother made with her hands while she was in pain. We're even." He got angry again. "We're not broken up. You're just mad." "We are broken up," I wrote. "You just haven't accepted it." Christmas came, and I drove to my parents' house alone. My mom asked where Ethan was. I told her we'd ended things, without going into details. She looked sad, but she didn't push. That night, after dinner, she hugged me and said, "You're a good daughter. I'm proud of you." I stood there, thinking, if you knew the truth, would you still be smiling like this? Later, my sister cornered me in the kitchen. "What really happened?" she asked. I told her, and her face darkened. "He did what?" "What a horrible man," she said, lowering her voice. "I didn't want Mom to know," I said. "She deserves to know," my sister replied softly. "But I get why you didn't tell her." On the drive home, my phone buzzed with a package notification. When I got to my apartment, there was a box outside the door. Inside was a store-bought sweater, green with a red reindeer, and a note. "I'm sorry. I know this doesn't replace what I destroyed, but I wanted to try. Please call me." I stared at it for a long time, then took a photo, sent it to him, and typed, "Don't contact me again." He called right away, but I didn't answer. Some things, once broken, aren't meant to be replaced. They're meant to be remembered. The silence after I blocked Ethan should have felt peaceful, but it didn't. It felt like I was waiting for something else to happen. 2 days later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I was expecting a work call. "Hello," I said. "Hi, is this Vicky?" A woman's voice asked. "Yes," I replied. "This is Linda Thompson, Ethan's mother." My stomach dropped. "I'm calling because Ethan told me what happened," she said. "About the sweater." I wanted to apologize. Not for him, but for myself. I raised him to know better, and I failed. I told her she didn't need to apologize. He's an adult, I said. I know, but I'm still ashamed. What he did was cruel, she said. She also told me that she'd told Ethan to accept that the relationship was over and that he wouldn't be contacting me again. Before hanging up, she said, "Your mother is very lucky to have a daughter who understands the value of effort." A week passed quietly. Then I got an email from Ethan. It was long, apologetic, and self-aware. He wrote about going to therapy, about his control issues, and about recognizing the patterns he didn't like in himself. At the end, he wrote, "I contacted a knitting shop near your mom's house. I paid for a year's worth of yarn and supplies to be delivered to her. I didn't put my name on it. I hope that's okay." I was angry that he'd involved my mom, but I also recognized the effort. I called my mom. "Did you get a package recently?" I asked. "Oh, yes," she said. "A big box of yarn and needles. Beautiful stuff." The note said it was from someone who admired my work. "Did you like it?" I asked. "It was very generous." "Whoever sent it must have spent a lot of money," she replied. After we hung up, I replied to Ethan. "My mom got the yarn. She's happy. Thank you. But this doesn't change anything between us. We're still done. Please don't contact me again." He replied an hour later. "I understand. I won't reach out again. I'm glad she liked it. Take care." A few days later, my sister called late at night. "Something weird happened today," she said. "What?" I asked, my chest tightening. "Ethan showed up at Mom's house. He brought a box and asked to speak to Mom." My stomach churned. "What was in it?" I asked. "The sweater, or what's left of it. He had it partially restored at a professional textile place," she said. "He told my mom everything, how he'd destroyed the sweater and how we'd broken up." Mom didn't yell. She just went very quiet. "Is she okay?" I asked. "She's upset, not at you, but she's sad. And she asked why you didn't tell her," my sister said. "She said she would have made you another one right away." That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I called my mom. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked gently. "I didn't want to hurt you," I said. "Oh, honey," she said. "I've been knitting for 55 years. Not everything I make will be loved. But you loved it, and that's what matters. Promise me something. Don't protect me from the truth. I'd rather know, even if it hurts." "I promise," I said. Before hanging up, she said, "People make big mistakes. Some learn from them, some don't. I don't know which kind Ethan is, but effort still counts." 2 days later, I did something I hadn't planned to do. I texted Ethan from a number he didn't recognize. "I heard what you did at my mom's house," I wrote. He replied right away. "I'm sorry. I should have asked you first. I just wanted to fix something I broke." "It meant a lot to her," I wrote. "She appreciated it." "Is she okay?" he asked. "She's sad, but she'll be fine," I replied. Then he asked, "Would you be willing to meet just to talk?" "I'm not asking to get back together." I stared at the message for a long time. Finally, I typed, "Coffee tomorrow at the place near the park." When I arrived at the coffee shop, it was already half full. The late afternoon light was slanting through the windows, making the dust in the air visible and everything seemed softer. I spotted Ethan right away, sitting at a corner table, his hands wrapped around a paper cup he hadn't touched. He looked different, thinner, more tired, and less polished. "Hi," he said when I sat down. We didn't hug or reach for each other. The space between us felt intentional. "I really appreciate you meeting me," he said. "I know I don't deserve it." He started talking about his therapy. "I've been going 3 times a week, not just about the sweater, but about why I reacted the way I did, he said. I listened without interrupting. He admitted that it wasn't really about the sweater being ugly. It was about what it represented, my mom's place in my life and the fact that I valued something imperfect over the image he was trying to build for us. You were threatened by a sweater? I raised an eyebrow. He nodded. By what it meant, by love that doesn't need to look good to matter. He quickly added, I'm not saying this to excuse what I did. What I did was cruel. I tore something apart because I felt small. I studied his face. He looked genuinely ashamed. I'm glad you're getting help, I said finally. Truly, I don't expect anything from you. I'm not here to fix us. I just needed to tell you I understand now, he said. We finished our coffee in relative silence. When he stood to leave, he hesitated. Your mom is extraordinary. I know. She handled what I told her with more grace than I deserved, he said. That's who she is, I replied. Take care of yourself, Vicky, he said. You, too, I replied. He walked out first, and I stayed for a few minutes, watching the door close. I felt something settle inside me, not relief, not forgiveness, but a sense of completion. 4 months passed. Life didn't change dramatically, but it stabilized. Ethan and I exchanged a few brief, polite messages. He was still in therapy, and according to mutual friends, he was dating someone new. I hoped he wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. As for me, I spent more time with my family. I visited my parents more often, stayed longer, and listened better. One afternoon in early spring, my mom handed me a folded sweater. It was navy blue, with clean lines and a subtle pattern. No reindeer this time, she joked. It's perfect, I said. She smiled. The last one was perfect, too, because I made it for you. The damaged sweater still sits in my closet. The restoration helped, but it will never be the same. I keep it as a reminder of the difference between people who build you up and those who tear you down. Last month, I started seeing someone new, a man named Leo. He's kind and attentive. When I told him the sweater story without names, he looked genuinely upset. That's not a mistake. That's cruelty, he said. And something in my chest loosened. I wasn't looking for perfection anymore. I was looking for someone who understood what mattered. I finally understand what my mother's sweater represented all along. It wasn't about the fabric or the effort. It was about love that sometimes hurts but still chooses to show up. A week after the coffee meeting, my mom called me. I've been thinking, she said. That usually means I should sit down, I replied, half smiling. She laughed softly. I just wanted you to know something about Ethan. What he did was wrong, very wrong, and I'm glad you didn't excuse it. But coming to my house, telling me the truth, and bringing back what he could, that took courage. It doesn't undo the harm, but it tells me he learned something. I know, I said. That doesn't mean I want him back in my life. And you don't have to, she said. Growth doesn't obligate forgiveness, and forgiveness doesn't obligate access. That's when it fully clicked for me. I'd spent weeks wondering if I was being too harsh, too rigid. But hearing my mom say it so plainly reminded me that boundaries are not punishments, they're protections. A few days later, I sent Ethan one final message. I'm glad you're getting help. I hope you continue. I don't regret ending our relationship, but I wish you well. Please don't contact me again. He replied, I understand. Thank you for saying that. Take care, Vicky. And that was it. No drama, no surprises. The quiet after that felt different, clean and peaceful. Months passed, the seasons changed, and my mom finished another sweater. This one was charcoal gray, soft and understated. She teased me that she was toning it down. I wear it often. The damaged sweater will always be there, a silent reminder of the moment I chose what mattered, even when it hurt. And with Leo by my side, I know I've found someone who respects the things that truly matter to me.